So there's been a lot of drama in relation to Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade dropping so many gotchas at the same time and just rapid fire releases trying to catch up to the Japanese version. And we're going to talk about the best characters to look out for and just kind of cut through the fat a little bit, if you will, and the ones that you guys should be prioritizing. While I don't agree that you should skip everything because I think you should play how you want to play, we're still going to tell you if you wanted to play that way, which ones to prioritize. And joining me today is Zenrot. We previously did a video where is it fair to say we ranted? We kind of ranted about
I think rant is a good word for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of ranted about it. If you want to see it, I'll leave it in the description. Also down there is the link to Zen's channel. Make sure you subscribe to him for more content like this. Also subscribe here on the channel if you're new. About 20% of viewers are subscribed. So if you're in that 80 that isn't, stick around for more content. But this should be pretty fun. One of the immediate characters, we'll kind of hit them pretty fast. That's coming out like tomorrow. Is Hollow
literally
Purple.
tomorrow.
So what are your thoughts on him really quick?
Hollow Purple's super good. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Basically, this game, if there's a Gojo, he's broken.
Yeah.
Hollow Purple is no exception. He plays very similarly to the current Gojo. I do think he is probably the least essential Gojo. So if you want to skip one, it would probably be this one, despite the fact that he looks awesome. His art's
He looks
so
so good. Yeah.
Just because he's not like a huge difference to how the current Gojo plays, and because the current Gojo, you can get dupes in him pretty easily. It enables you to have, higher stats and all that kind of stuff. So he is air quotes skippable, but the fact that he's green and a lot of greens are very bad, and he is not, is pretty important in my opinion. He's definitely, I think he's probably better than Yuta, like as a character in a vacuum. Like if you were just to look at Yuta versus him, no idea what the content is, who would you rather be using? I think the answer is him. But he's air quotes skippable if you want to just rely on your current Gojo. That's fine.
Yeah, I think people should be also gearing towards building monocolor teams a little bit with, I believe, Tower, right?
So especially with Tower coming out, and the problem is there's no green that even touches this guy.
Yeah,
right. Like
people, I think, are earmarking Mahito as their green.
Yeah, Mahito is a green option that people use because he can kind of stall enemy turns out.
Yeah.
He gives himself. You remember in the anime where he fights Yuji and he goes like itty bitty and he turns in like little and runs away?
Yeah.
He can do that, and so he dodges attacks. So he kind of like gives himself a quasi limitless for a couple turns.
Mm-hmm.
But
that
Mahito allows him
is also free
stuff.
though, for the record.
Mahito is free. Yeah, you get Mahito from the same currency that you can use to get Jogo or Hanami.
Yeah.
Same thing. So hopefully you're stockpiling that for when he comes out, because I do think he is a lot better than them.
Yeah, basically. But last thing on Gojo, if you hate the 7-turn limit, you should love this Gojo. He's got the 7-turn limit and an auto out when he uses the ultimate. So have fun with that.
Yes. When you use Hollow Purple, he bails no matter when you use it. So you're always going to fire it on turn 7. But because you're always going to fire it on turn 7, there is not a huge difference in, like, if you're using the nuking build of the blue Gojo, where you stack as much on him as you possibly can and then you blast. There's not a huge difference there. I have seen some people say that they think the blue Gojo is better because he can ult multiple times and this one can't. It's kind of
okay.
I think they're so close together that it's kind of a side grade flavor choice. Like Hollow Purple's really cool. Do you like that he's really cool and he's just as good as the other Gojo? Go for him.
Yeah, and I think, again, the main reason why you would want the options is for the content coming out. So that's one thing to consider, because green, aside from Mahito, it's kind of underwhelming, at least with what we've got there. We'll talk a little bit more about some other stuff. Now, another character that's coming out pretty soon, Momo, super duper good support character. Kind of crazy she's dropping at the same time as Gojo. She does several things, but my favorite thing with her is just this crit stuff. It's kind of crazy in my opinion.
Yeah, she's nuts. She's one of the best supports in the whole game. She can increase the enemy's damage taken with an attack that costs no cursed energy to use. And you know how broken that is, because like that's the whole thing that makes Megami good, is his ability to do it. But he's got to set up his ult and do all this other stuff. Granted, he does a higher percentage than her, but she can do it for free. So it's a perpetually available 20% damage increase buff to the entire party, plus your own buff that she gives with the damage up by like 70% to everybody. She's awesome. She's also Momo though. So if you're playing this because you like Jujutsu Kaisen, she's kind of a nothing character as far as Jujutsu
Hey,
Kaisen is
there's
concerned.
some
So,
Momo fans out there. You got to put some respect, man.
all 7 of them, I'm sorry. But if you're playing for like, I don't care about the tier list, I want my cool Jujutsu Kaisen characters, this might not be the character for you despite how good she is.
Then the coolest character hasn't released yet.
Yeah, right.
Maybe sometime soon.
One day.
Yeah, one day. But yeah, she's pretty great. But if you're, like you said, kind of interested in just trying to play with your favorite characters, maybe you're not going that way. But that's part of the reason why it's so crazy that these characters are dropping at the same time. And she will be added into the general pool later. I believe Gojo will too. But the problem with relying on that is that the pull rate is so abysmal and there's so much saturation in the banner that you can't say, all right, I've got a couple hundred tickets. I'm going to go here for sure and go get a copy of Gojo right now. Like, that's just not how that works.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
And then also, let alone trying to maybe potentially get dupes if you want those. I mean, they do have those little shards you can get, that are universal, but still, it's kind of hard to rely on that. And that's the main thing people will tell you. That's why it's kind of tricky though. So anybody else? Okay, so actually, let me just kind of jump to this because I know this is where we're going next. And it's kind of crazy, but hidden inventory. This was the half-year celebration. I have this could come out on New Year's for all we know, but it could
at the rate they're going, they're going to announce it tomorrow.
It could be it could be him. It could be the anniversary stuff at the same time. Who knows what they're doing? But anyway, this is one of the main things where it's him, Toji, and Geto as well. Why are these characters so important for accounts going forward?
So the big thing about Teen Joe, or whatever you want to call him, Yellow Gojo, is that he doesn't have the turn limit on him. And he still does an insane amount of damage. He can do AoE damage. He can taunt. So he has an attack that taunts, so it pulls aggro onto him. And then he has Limitless, so he pulls that aggro onto him, and then the enemies can't hit him. He buffs his own damage and his crit rate. He's basically everything that you think about being good with the current Gojo, but he has no turn limit.
Sounds like a huge benefit. What do we have for some of the other guys? What color's Toji? Red?
Toji is red.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Toji is kind of just a hardcore damage dealer.
Physical too.
Yep, he's like, I think one of the only like physical damage
Pure
dealers,
physical,
except maybe other like Anna Vuji, that's really, really good. He has a lot of like kind of unique, interesting stuff about him. So 1, he debuffs enemy crit resistance just by attacking. 2, he cuts through defense. So he has the soul sword thing. So if you have defense up, he just ignores it, which is awesome. And then he also can get rid of attack nullification. So if you have enemies that like evade, like the one boss that's out right now, it's like the bug looking one.
Yeah.
That can put evasion on itself.
So annoying.
Yeah, Toji ignores attack nullification, and he also removes buffs. So he does a ton of damage. He debuffs the enemy. He cleanses their buffs, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then his ultimate also does that. So not only does he have the self attack that does it, but his ultimate does it as well. So if you're cleansing a bunch of debuffs with him, and you're like, oh, I have his ultimate, I can't use it yet. Nope, ultimate also does it. And because he's all physical, if you look at the cursed energy costs of his abilities, it's all 0.
That's pretty crazy.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
No resources to use his abilities.
Looks like he's got some really lengthy passives too.
He does, yeah. So he doesn't have a ton of self-damage buffs. He has that crit resistance debuff on the enemy. That's like a pseudo damage buff because it increases your crit rate. But all of his like actual stat buffs just happen at the start of the turn. So he gets a big buff to his own damage, a 50% increase. So basically you just take his taijutsu damage and then multiply it by 50% to actually get what his output is, no matter what. So like it's not entirely transparent on just his stats. He has a percent chance to just dodge stuff. He has damage reduction built into his kit. So he just takes less damage than he normally would. He has a tiny regen. And he has this thing where when he does a crit, he then will guarantee his following, like a crit the next time he attacks.
That's crazy.
And when he crits, he then buffs his own damage further. Like he's really cool. Everything that he does kind of feeds into itself. I really like Toji.
Yeah, he seems really cool. Is there a Gojo boss that you fight when he releases?
That I don't know. I assume
assume so,
because
right?
the,
Because
the, the
also the
attack
attack
nullification is probably
nullification.
to deal with
Yeah.
Limitless, but I don't know. But I assume probably yes.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is that there may also be characters like Toji here that we flat out don't mention that are probably super good for some event at some point. I'm sure that they have crossover with that. That doesn't mean that you should skip those characters, but it also doesn't mean you should go for them either, because maybe they're just not great. But we also haven't talked about Geto. So what's up with Geto while I find him here?
So Geto's kind of like I guess a hybrid character. I know they mark him as a support character, but I feel like he's kind of closer to like a middle ground character where he does pretty good damage and he has pretty good support. I don't think he's the best at either thing. He's not like the greatest support ever. He's not the greatest damage dealer ever, but he's really good at both things. He has a lot of debuffs that he spreads. And he's kind of like, I don't know if you looked at the current Geto because there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of hype behind him.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like that where he has like a secondary effect of
With the
his
cursed
skills
energy
based on how
stuff.
much cursed energy that he has.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
And when he kills enemies, so when he wave clears, he regens cursed energy. So every enemy that he kills, he gets 10 back to himself. So that kind of
Interesting.
helps him like perpetuate his more powerful effects. And so he can do things like increase the enemy's Jujutsu damage taken, and then because he then does Jujutsu damage, he's basically the same thing as buffing himself for long periods of time. He can also increase the enemy's Taijutsu damage received, so the enemy's going to take more from physical hits. I believe they just refer to green attacks, so they're kind of just self buffs, or for Hollow Purple, or for I guess Mahito.
Green Yuji.
Yeah, well, yeah. Good luck. But he's just like, it's like having a debuffer on your team without sacrificing damage output.
Yeah, it's very similar to Megami. Megami,
Yeah,
like,
it's very similar to Megami without Megami's like strict. You got to get the ultimate before he really does anything, and then you finally get the ultimate up, and you got 3 turns where you can do it. He's like Megami, but just I think a little easier to use.
Yeah, for sure. And whenever I see these, I just want to ask you this on a side note. It looks like right here he reduces taijutsu damage received, but then there's another one of these. This is 2 debuffs, right?
It's 2 individual ones, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. So that's really strong if you've got the cursed energy criteria for that. So overall, I think that this just batch of characters is crazy because they're going to release largely around the same time. So
yeah, I mean they all come
knows?
out for the same like celebration.
Yeah, who knows when that is on global? That could. The problem with the rapid fire schedule is that we don't know how far away this stuff is. We have to project out, and then they could shuffle some stuff. Who knows? But also, you have less time to save because ordinarily, if you were targeting specifically that batch of characters, they were hard released at the half-year anniversary. You would have 6 months, but we don't have
Months and
6
months.
months to save for that specific batch. So who knows? Now there was one SR character release in here. I don't know who he is released alongside, but he's pretty good as well. And you were talking. I can never remember that dude's name. Here he is.
Oh my god, I can't remember his
Gaku
name either.
Ganji.
What is
There he is.
Gaku Ganji?
Yeah.
That's the guy. Yeah, he's cool because he's an SR. So first of all, you have like a realistic chance to get and dupe him out very easily.
Yeah.
And I like him. So his skill 2 is he increases his own Jujutsu damage by a little bit. It's not like a ton. I mean, he is an SR. I think it's like 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
But then he switches into the alternative tuning, which is like a stance swap, right? And while his stance swap is active, his skills get different effects. So like his normal attack decreases the enemy's Jujutsu damage output, so it weakens the attacks that are coming in. Whereas if you go and do alternate tuning, instead of weakening their attack output, it increases the amount of damage that they take. So you kind of swap between, do I want to make them hit me less hard, or do I want to hit them harder? As you like swap the stances back and forth. He can also stun with like a pretty good chance. I don't know if it's as good as the GOAT or Inumaki's chance, but it's a pretty good chance. And he has an ultimate that decreases the enemy's ultimate count. So if the enemy is about to use their ultimate and you hit them with Gakuganji's, you'll get an extra turn.
Yeah, that's really strong. But you know what I'm gonna call him now from here? He just reminds me of Netero so much. I'm just gonna call him that.
He really does look like Netero.
Netero with the guitar is his name. because he looks just like him. So, was there any other SSR characters specifically? We're not really talking about memories here because I just personally don't think you should be spotlight looking for
I don't
memories.
think anybody really
Yeah.
spotlights memories. You just if you get them,
Yeah.
good, more power to you.
I will say though, I was pretty happy to get the two strongest on the Geto banner, so I'll say that. But
Yes,
other than
that is a
that,
good one.
yeah, other than that, I don't really care personally. I'll get them as I get them. But was there
Yeah,
anybody
especially with
specifically, and
global
why is it
schedule,
Toto?
well, not Toto, unfortunately. He's what we call terrible.
Yeah, he's nah, he's Toto, man. You got to go for him.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you just gotta respect who he is. I get it. But
Oh, Yaga.
yes, SSR Yaga I think is a good one. He's kind of similar to the current Yaga where he just has, buffs and debuffs. He
Yep.
also has the ability to inflict what's it called? Darkness, where it makes the enemies have a way lower chance to hit you. It cuts melee hits in half and it makes ranged attacks always miss. So he can put darkness on enemies, which kind of helps you with avoiding damage. So he is a bit of a tankier support than the current Yaga, which is all about just damage buff, damage buff, damage buff.
Yeah.
This one is more defensive, but he is really, really good.
Yeah, he's got a nice combination here. What is this effective for yellow type attacks? Only this stuff is only for yellow attacks.
Yeah, so Hollow Purple Go or not Hollow Purple, Teenage Gojo,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is the one who benefits from it.
I still think you
And
could
it's
put a
cool
great team
because
there.
if you look at his passive, other than himself, his passive just gives a 46% buff to the whole party every turn.
That's
So it's
really
just a
strong.
perpetually active 46% damage buff to everybody.
Yeah, you don't have to waste turns trying to set that up or anything. It's just
Nope, you don't have to
constantly
spam
there.
his skill over and over again or anything
Yeah,
like that to
yeah,
get the buff. It's just on.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like him. He's very, very good.
Yeah, he seems really, really strong. So, was there anybody though that we were kind of missing?
The only two that I would maybe mention is Miwa and Saki Rindo, the other not the main guy, but the main girl
Yeah.
OC for this game.
Which, by the way,
They
apparently
both
the
have
Kaito's
SSRs
pretty
come out.
good too, right?
Yeah, he is, but he comes out right before the most broken characters in existence, so
Yeah,
that kind of kills him
we
there.
didn't actually say, but yeah, the anniversary, obviously,
Yeah,
right?
the most overpowered units ever.
Yeah.
But both of them are just defensive units. So if you find that you're having trouble clearing content like without getting your characters killed, you really want a tanky unit, they're good for that. She's a good tank. And then Miwa is a really cool tank because she kind of plays like in the show where she sets out her field, and then when enemies attack, she counterattacks. So she's like a counterattack tank.
Yeah. Where's she even at? I don't.
She's blue.
Oh, I was like, I could have sworn she was green. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, so they're not I wouldn't break the bank for them. I wouldn't target down a tank, really, because you have characters like Gojo that just ignore damage. But if you're finding that your account is really struggling to clear content and you just don't have the defenses, they're the ones you could look into if you really want to go the defensive route.
Yeah, I'd consider them probably luxury if that's the case, because I still think you want to try to overpower whatever content you're versus if
Yeah,
possible.
for sure.
So yeah, maybe more luxury choices. But again, that's mostly everything that you guys should be looking forward to going forward. I'm positive that some of these characters in here have more niche uses or that are pretty good going forward. But those are some of the main ones you guys are going to want to focus on as they pop up. But at the end of the day, though, like I said previously, pull for what you want to pull for your own enjoyment, because I think it's corny to say it, yeah, but I think that's the most important thing when it comes to these gacha games, is to just get your best experience out of it. So all in all, if you want to go for Momo right now and not Hollow Purple, don't let anybody tell you otherwise, right? Because you
You
Momo
do what you
fans,
gotta
you gotta
do.
do what you gotta do. Like Zen said. So all in all, though, is there anything else you wanted to say here?
No, just do your best to weather the storm and hope you get what you want.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And the nastiest thing about it is we just don't know what the order is, because they've already shown with Megami that they're like, okay, we'll shuffle this. Maybe they'll shuffle some other
And
hype
Momo
character.
too. I think Momo came out. I
Oh
know that
yeah,
the red
yeah.
Yuji came out way before Momo, and now they're dropping at the same time. So
Was that the case? Let's find out live in the video when these guys came out. Actually, I don't even have the full screen. 11-1. Oh my god. He just came out on JP just a couple months ago.
11/1/2024.
Wait, god
that
dang it, I
doesn't
did it
sound
backwards.
right.
Hold on.
Yeah,
111. 111. Mike,
yeah, that doesn't
hate
sound
that thing.
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
it's
that.
the reverse.
I'm like, wait a minute. And then she came out a month later.
Yeah. So and then I don't believe that. I think it was Kamo between them, because Kamo was not on Momo's banner. He was his own guy.
Yeah, and
in
then
JP.
And then Gojo was before both of them, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think. Or was
No,
Gojo
he was actually
before Yuji?
he was in
He was
between.
after Yuji,
He was
right?
after
Yeah,
Yuji.
the Yuji came out way earlier in Japan than he is here, because they're releasing characters in global based on how good they are, not the release schedule.
Yeah, he came out 2.5 weeks or so after Yuji.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, so weather the storm while you guys are dealing with this craziness. We don't know what's happening, when it's happening, because they're just going to shuffle it as they see fit, but we'll keep you guys posted. Once again, make sure you subscribe to Zen through the link down below in the description. Subscribe to the channel as well for more content like this. And if you want to see that rant we talked about earlier, it's on the screen right now. We'll see you over there.